Hey, it's Andrew Morgan, host of the Nomcast, the Netflix original movie podcast. Each week we preview and review the biggest Netflix original movies with special guests from the film industry, the music industry, comedians, and of course our fellow critics and podcasters. The Nomcast is available on nomcastpod.com or wherever you get your podcasts, on the socials at nomcastpod, and is a part of the Forgotten Entertainment family.
Ladies and gentlemen, please notice that exits are conveniently located at the front and rear of this auditorium. When leaving the theater, we suggest that the exit at the front of the auditorium will allow you easier access to the parking areas. Thank you.
I was gonna say, like, the whole point of Star Wars is to get him to shoot those friggin' things to kill the Death Star. You're talking about the whole design of that movie.
I'm a little.
Things didn't go the way you thought.
No, I'm just a little.
Stallone's playing soccer?
Yeah.
What's going on? I'm watching this.
I saw that at a very young age, and I didn't.
You're coming at me hard.
I'm not coming
You're
at you
coming
hard.
Yeah, you are.
I just don't believe her choices. Her choices are ridiculous.
Give me an emotion.
That.
There must be some movies in the. Okay, I'll stop.
We are. Mics are hot.
Okay. Do you want me to wait?
No, you
took a drink. I was about to say, and then you took a drink. All right. Hi, I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And you're listening to the Forgotten Cinema Podcast. Each episode, we highlight a film that, for a variety of reasons, was forgotten by audiences. Whether it's because a more popular movie was released at the same time, or the movie simply didn't catch on with an audience in its initial run. We'll discuss what we love about the movie, or perhaps don't love about it, but we'll always recommend you revisit it. If you enjoy our podcast, we'd like to hear from you. We're on Instagram and Facebook. Find us. Our podcast is available on all platforms with a backlog of 150 episodes for your listening pleasure.
150?
150.
Woo.
Season 12. Here we go. And
right.
begin.
All right.
What's going on?
Nothing. Just living.
Living?
Found it in a crash plane.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Found a bag of money in it, though.
Okay.
Split it two ways. Only
yes.
if I get to hold it, though.
We'll get into how, while I was watching this film, how I would keep this money. So what are we doing today, and what's it about?
We are doing 1998's A Simple Plan, where three blue-collar acquaintances come across millions of dollars in lost cash and make a plan to keep their find from the authorities. But it isn't long before complications and mistrust weave their way into the plan. And by it isn't long, I mean immediately. It's like as soon as they get home.
Oh, it's a movie. Yeah, acquaintances. They're two brothers. Two of them are brothers.
Two of them are brothers,
Nice.
and one of them's a moron.
All right. Well, we'll get into that. A Simple Plan is a runtime of 121 minutes. It's rated R. Now, the production budget, I saw two numbers. So let's just say it's between 17 million and 30 million. Pick one, I guess.
One might be marketing added.
I don't know. Yeah. So I really wasn't going to go in depth on.
Hopefully it was the 17. Otherwise, whoa, did this bomb.
Well, maybe the 30 million included all that. So it had two release dates. A limited release date on December 11th, 1998, obviously in time for Oscar season, and it had a wide release date on January 22nd, 1999. So obviously, for those who are unaware of the theater biz, movies will come out really quickly in LA and New York and maybe some other local areas just to kind of get it, not to get it, what's the word?
Eligible for Oscar contention.
Eligibility for Oscar for that year. The last couple of years, they have obviously stepped back from that to allow streamers to have, just because of all the, just because of the pandemic and stuff like that.
Yep.
Right. So its opening weekend, which was the 11th, the limited, it did 390,000, but on its wide release date, on that weekend, it did 3.4 million. But it brought in a total of 16.3 million, both domestic and worldwide. So so maybe it didn't get a big worldwide release or didn't do much. So as Mike said, he's hoping that the production budget was 17 because it kind of broke even. But I would venture a guess that it made some money on its DVD and no, it doesn't have a Blu-ray, which I noticed. Its DVD sales.
Oh wow, it still doesn't have a Blu-ray.
Yeah, yeah. So its production company, there are like 20 Mutual Film Company, Savoy Pictures, BBC, Toho Toa, Telemunchin, UGCPH, Marubeni, and Newmarket Capital Group all put money for this movie. It was distributed by Paramount Pictures in the United States and the United Kingdom, Concord Film Verlies, if I said that wrong, in Germany, UGC Fox Distributions in France, and then Toho Toa in Japan. So clearly you knew where all the money came from all over to write this film. So as I said, its limited release date was the 11th of December, 1998. It went up against, in a wide release, Star Trek Insurrection, stretch face Star Trek. Jack Frost, not the one that's the horror film, but the Michael Keaton is turns into a snowman,
which is also kind of a horror film in and of itself.
Oh, that script made Michael Keaton cry. In a limited release that week, you had Shakespeare in Love and Rushmore. On the 18th of December, you had The Prince of Egypt and You've Got Mail. And then the week before, which is December 4th, you had the remake of Psycho, the shot-for-shot remake of Psycho, which I believe was only done so that Gus Van Sant could get money to do his movie about Cobain. I'm not sure, or it was loosely based on Cobain.
That's what people say, although he says he wanted to see what a shot-for-shot remake would do.
I think, I'm pretty sure, that's what he says now, but I'm pretty sure he did that for them so he can get money for another project. And then he was just like, let's just do a shot-for-shot because he really didn't care.
I like the remake. I think it's interesting.
It's all right. I don't think I needed the sounds of Norman Bates, touching himself. That was a little bit too much. But anyways, on the 22nd of January, which was the wide release date, it went up against Gloria. Everyone remembers Gloria, right? No, neither do I. The week after, you had She's All That. And then the week before, which was the 15th, you had Varsity Blues. Throw that fucking pigskin. Virus. At First Sight. Virus is terrible. At First Sight. In Dreams and The Thin Red Line. So
you don't like the Power Ranger monster that they have to fight?
Virus is so awful. In Dreams and the Thin Red Line, I believe, are other wide releases for movies that came out for the Oscar season in December. So
do you like The Thin Red Line?
I've only seen like 15 minutes. Terrence Malick is tough to watch. You really have to really be into his films.
Okay, cool. Because I hate it.
No, it's he's an acquired taste. I've never seen Badlands. I think he did Badlands, and I've never seen Badlands, but I do want to see that. I've heard I just never really got around to seeing that, but I know he did that. Okay. This movie was directed by Sam Raimi, who did Evil Dead or the Evil Dead series, Spider-Man, the 2002 version, the good one, and The Gift, amongst other things. He's also doing Doctor Strange coming up. You had a screenplay. This actually was based on a book, a novel, which is written by Scott B. Smith, and he also adapted his novel for the screenplay. He's only done that. He only written another book, which is called The Ruins, and he adapted that as well. That Eli Roth did The Ruins.
I have it up because I was wondering if I had seen it.
That's the one where they're backpacking and they go to the.
That is Carter Smith directed that.
Okay, then I'm wrong there. Maybe he produced it or something. Or maybe I'm thinking of that other movie he did.
That is the one where they do an archaeological dig. That takes place in the jungle, in the ruins of a jungle.
Maybe I'm thinking of.
You're thinking of The Descent, which is also not.
He didn't
Eli
do that.
Roth.
The Descent is a British film.
Yeah, I like The Descent. Descent's cool.
Did you see the second one? I've never seen both.
I've never seen the second
one. So anyways, Smith has also done the script he's also done Siberia and The Burnt Orange Heresy. Cinematography by Alar Cavillo. He's done Frequency, The Lookout, and more recently The Broken Hearts Gallery. Composer was Danny Elfman, who's done basically Tim Burton films, but he's been nominated for his work at Milk, Big Fish, and Good Will Hunting. Edited by Eric L. Beeson and Arthur Coburn. Beeson has done The Last Seduction, a movie we did, Joyride, and Don't Breathe. Coburn has done Beverly Hills Cop, The Mask, and The Cooler, which is actually, I think, The Cooler might be a good movie for our list.
Yeah, that would be.
Produced by James Jacks and Adam Schroeder. Jacks has done Tombstone, The Mummy. Well, he's done all the mummies. Dazed and Confused, and Schroeder has done The Truman Show, Sleepy Hollow, and the Jackie Chan movie, The Tuxedo. You had Bill Paxton here as Hank, who passed away 2017, 4 years ago. I can't believe it's been that long.
Oh, me neither.
He's in Aliens, Frailty, Apollo 13, Twister. He's in a lot of stuff. Bridget Fonda as Sarah, his wife. She's in Point of No Return, Single White Female, and of course, Lake Placid.
I didn't know she was married to Danny Elfman.
Yeah. Nice.
And that she hasn't acted since because she was concentrated on having a family.
Good for her.
It was an interesting fact. I don't know. I was just like, what happened to her? And I was like, what? Really? All right.
Okay. That's fine. All good.
Interesting.
Billy Bob Thornton as Jacob. He was nominated. He won an Oscar for writing Sling Blade. He played the main character in
French
Sling
fried
Blade.
potatoes.
He's also in Bad Santa 2 as well, and The Man Who Wasn't There, the Coen Brothers film. Brent Briscoe, who also passed away in 2017. He plays Lou, the friend that Mike said was the dumb friend. The Green Mile, The Mulholland Drive, and Sling Blade as well. Chelsea Ross is Carl. I know him from Hoosiers, the guy that tries to get Norman Dale kicked out. But he's also in Major League, the old pitcher that always puts all like the grease all over the ball. He's also in The Majestic. Gary Cole as Baxter. He's from obviously Office Space, Dodgeball, but I know him from the American Gothic TV show. Do you remember that? It's he plays kind of like the devil or something like that, and that Lucas Black was in that. The kid from he was the kid at the time from
Fast and Furious,
the X-Files movies, but now he was in the Fast Furious movie.
Oh, that's right. He is the kid that falls.
You didn't know that?
Hole. No.
Yeah, he's the kid that gets all the goop on him and stuff. Yeah. And then you had Becky Ann Baker as Nancy Chambers. And I knew her. I knew she looked familiar, and she was the mother in Freaks and Geeks. His mother, I believe. It was either the kids' mothers.
Okay.
Yeah. She's also in Girls, the TV show, and she's in Men in Black. So it's not a really big cast. Bill Paxton's dad's in here. He didn't get the job from Bill Paxton.
Yeah, he got it because he was a fan of Sam Raimi.
He wrote Sam Raimi a letter saying, "I really like your films. If you have a small part, I'd love to do it." And he brought him in, auditioned him, and he's the guy that's complaining about how he's getting screwed out of paying for his fee.
I love that because that totally reminds me of work. That's like total customer.
Check that calendar over there.
I'm not saying there were 5 weeks. I'm saying there were 5 Mondays.
Yeah. So and then he just leaves.
Yeah. Are we all right then, sir? All right. You have a good day.
So before we get into what our thoughts about the movie, I wanted to say that this film received 2 Academy Award nominations. One for Best Supporting Actor, so Billy Bob Thornton was nominated for this, and then one for Best Writing, Adapted Screenplay, Scott B. Smith was nominated. So you know how I like to do, Butler. I'm going to give you the other nominees, and you're going to tell me who won.
All right.
So for Best Supporting Actor of 1999's Academy Awards, you had Robert Duvall from A Civil Action, Ed Harris from The Truman Show, James Coburn from Affliction, and Jeffrey Rush from Shakespeare in Love. They all went up against Billy Bob Thornton for this movie. Who won?
Was it Rush?
It was not Rush, no.
Then it was... Oh, who was your first guy? I already forgot.
Robert Duvall for Civil Action.
Was it Duvall?
No, it was not Duvall. It was James Coburn for Affliction.
I really don't remember that.
Yeah, he's all I know from that movie is the one clip when he's I don't know if he had a stroke in the film. Like he's obviously an older actor,
right.
But he's always like, that's the clip they show. I always remember that. Okay. So you got that wrong. So let's move to Best Writing and Adapted Screenplay from Scott Smith for this movie. He went up against Out of Sight, but written by Scott Frank, Gods and Monsters, written by Bill Condon, Primary Colors, written by Elaine May, and then The Thin Red Line, written by Terrence Malick.
Ugh.
Who won the Oscar?
Was it The Thin Red Line?
It was not, no.
Thank God. What was the first one again?
Out of Sight by Scott Frank.
What was your second one?
Gods and Monsters by Bill Condon.
Was it Gods and Monsters?
It was Gods and Monsters by Bill Condon. Yes, absolutely. Good job, brother. You got one. You got kind of one.
Kind of one. I was just really hoping it wasn't Thin Red Line. I was like, it's gonna be Thin Red Line.
Oh,
I really don't.
So, did you see this in the theater when it came out? Were you
I've
too
only
young?
seen bits and pieces of this movie before.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so curious. What's your first take?
It's an okay movie, elevated by the performances of Paxton and Billy Bob Thornton, and its ending.
And its ending?
Yeah.
In terms of just what he does at the end of the money?
What what happens with the money at the end of the movie, and also how they wrap up Jacob's storyline.
Okay, so you liked performances, but you were not a fan of the movie on a whole.
The story itself is rather done. It's
okay.
It's just like a greedy kind of like what happens when 3 friends end up with a ton of stuff and they betray each other. I was like, in the general sense of things, I think the story is very, very much something that has been done before, and the stupidity of your three characters just really bothers me. Half my notes are just so dumb.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I have some notes there. That one of my notes here is that, when Hank records Lou doing the message,
mm-hmm.
and because goaded by his wife to get him on tape saying that he killed Dale Stevenson, was that the guy's name? The older guy?
Yeah.
Saying that he killed him, and then we have the tape we can use as leverage, so he'll keep his mouth shut and he won't, whatever.
He won't, yeah.
But then he records it and then he shows it. They get him drunk and he plays it as soon as he's done recording it, which I didn't understand. It was just
out of anger and I'm better than you.
My note was that that's the thing. My note was that it's a dumb move, another dumb move. I also thought that what was a dumb move was bringing back the money. Bringing back $500,000.
That made no sense.
Right. Yeah. I think it was a lot of overthinking, but not that I'm trying to rationalize it, but to me, it kind of makes sense because these people are not equipped for this kind of thinking. Like we're thinking like 2020. Okay. Looking back in terms of not 2020 the year, but, what would we do? Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, I think these people are not, I don't think you're supposed to give them a level of intelligence that maybe somebody who is used to stealing when you see in films, like what happens, the perfect score, the perfect getaway, that kind of thing. That's what I was thinking when I was seeing that. I agree with you. They're dumb moves, but then I was like, well, okay, well, is that true to the characters, or is that because I'm sitting here going, I've seen movies where they've done this the right way and these guys are not doing it the right way.
I don't know, because the initial plan is a smart plan.
Right.
The initial plan absolutely makes sense. You wait it's New Year's Day. You wait, what, 4 months till the spring comes and they find the plane? No money? All right, good. But you're done.
Mm-hmm.
None of them can wait the 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
You just get Lou going, I need that money now. I need that money now. People are coming tomorrow to get. Everybody's coming tomorrow, Lou.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's coming tomorrow. Just wait your 4 months.
Well, he's lying. He's
I understand.
Yeah, he has no money. He's probably he's saying he's going to lose the house. He doesn't work.
So dumb.
Yeah.
So dumb. Just dumb. Just dumb.
Well, I think that's just, again, I believe that's their characters. So you come upon $4.4 million. What are you doing, Butler? How you playing it with two other buddies?
Well, I'm giving it back. I'm not
It's too
dealing
much
with that.
money.
That's
It's too much money.
Too much. I'm not going to risk my life to go to jail because that's also worthless. I'm a poor man, but I'd rather be poor and free than
Well, you're not
rich
poor.
and in jail.
You're not poor like these guys.
Not like these guys,
Yeah.
but well, Bill Paxton's not poor. That's the whole thing. That's what he says at the beginning.
It's not that he's not poor, but he's a cashier at a mill at a like, what is it, a mill station?
He is like an assistant manager at a mill
yeah,
station.
with that guy, all his boss does is on the phone all the time, giving him looks like, "Oh, do something."
But it's like that's life. That's, you're still living. You still got a house. You got a wife. You got a kid on the way. He's got more than me, and it's like it's still not worth risking your freedom for that money.
Right. Okay. So you
It's just dirty money. It's just too scary.
all right. So your biggest thing is that the decisions that they were making were not good. Were not smart.
The initial decision was
Right.
smart, and then the decisions afterward made no sense. Like Hank going, "You can't tell your wife. You can't tell your wife."
And then he just
he
tells-
immediately tells Sarah.
Yes.
It's just like
Yeah.
4 months. You're just gonna wait 4 months.
What
And he's
is-
so happy about it. It's such a shifting character from him being so nervous about this money and so careful. And like, this is the only way I'll do it. If we have this money and we don't tell anybody, we do it in the spring. And then he just goes home and goes, "What would you do if you found 4 million?" And he dumps
Right.
the money everywhere. I was just
Right.
like, where's this character coming from?
Well, the money is a corrupter. It's not.
I get
Money
that.
reveals your true nature. Which I think,
which is, he's really a monster.
But I will say I was gonna actually say that the one person that in this story that really changes is Sarah. She's somebody. Like she is like the conniver. Like
She becomes Lady Macbeth.
Yes, and she's like trying to get him to do things. She's trying to get him to. She gives him the idea to do the put the money back, which leads to a death. Which because
Stevenson finds him in the play. Yep.
Yeah, she gets the idea to record Lou, which leads to 2 deaths, and leads to them. She just makes it worse. And at the end, when he's just shoving her down and burning the money because the money's no good, because he finds out at the end that the FBI has marked like 1 bill and 50 packs.
They didn't mark them. They wrote them
down.
They
recorded this, right? So they don't, and so there's no way to know which money it is. When I'm listening to that and I'm watching the movie, I'm thinking to myself, okay, so you have to clean the money. So like, how would you clean? Like what I mean?
That's what I was thinking
Yeah.
too. There's got to be, because they're not going to count every bill that goes into a cash register.
Well, they would have to go somewhere and get the
Wait till
money
it's
clean.
deposited,
Somebody,
yeah.
they'd have to find somebody who's disreputable, obviously, and they're going to have to pay a fee. So they're going to lose a chunk of the money. Also, they're going to risk that they're going to lose all of it because these people might just steal and rip them
Exactly. Yeah.
offline.
Oh, we'll clean it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it's not like that's again. But while I'm watching this because you made the comment that you've seen it done before. Now have you seen it done before in movies? Have you seen it done before since then to now, or before these movie came out? Because you know how we talk about when this movie came out in 98, 99. If you see movies from 20 years from there to now, you can't really hold this movie accountable because it came before them.
Well, there's just a lot of movies about greed and about finding, like, not even just finding money, but coming into money, or a bunch of robbers getting stuff. I mean, this movie is apparently based on Chaucer.
Oh yeah,
story.
it's got its roots are from
Loosely.
Chaucer's Pardoner's Tale. Yes, a reworking of Chaucer's Pardoner's Tale. That's what the note I had is. Yes,
But it's just kind of like how greed corrupts and stuff like that. It's just, I've seen some stuff before, and there's stuff that's after, and it is a little different. It's definitely more. I don't know if I found anything with somebody finding just a bag of money. There's always, hello.
you do. You know when you get that at the end of films when like the you have your hero who's just trying to get out of a tough situation, and it ends
You're
up
reluctant
everyone
robber or
dies and
something, yeah.
the trunk opens and there's money in there and just takes it and go. You get a lot of that,
Yeah,
or like
or
in
he's
like
the last guy.
or in Reindeer Games when Ben Affleck's the last one left
Yep.
and he has the money. He's just walking down the street putting the money in people's. Isn't that where he's putting the money in people's mailboxes?
mailboxes, yep.
Yeah, so you have
The
that.
end.
Yeah.
But in this case, you almost think you're going to get that ending. And then you find out about the money being dirty, and you're just like, ooh.
Well, yeah, because
But Hank doesn't deserve that money,
right? Because he's killed two people, he's killed two people, and three people because his brother told him just to do it.
He was going to do it if he didn't. Yeah,
right. What did you think of Jacob? What do you think? Because I thought he was a little inconsistent.
Jacob, yeah, I think Billy Bob Thornton did a great job portraying him. It was just very much like, is he someone who has a disability? Is he just someone who's stupid? I do think he goes through it the most change. I think he goes from wanting the money the most to learning that, that greed corrupts. He actually learns his lesson in a much better way than Hank does.
He just gives up. He just doesn't want, because his friend's dead.
Because he finds out what it's doing.
He killed his friend. He killed his best friend.
Well, he even before that, he didn't want to go to, when Lou was talking to him about stuff before he goes to visit Hank in the nursery.
Yeah.
And he goes, I don't want to pick sides. Like, everybody tell me to pick sides. I don't want to pick sides.
Mm-hmm.
And then he ends up having to pick Hank. You're my brother, so of course I'm choosing you.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't want to set Lou up. And then he does. And then, because then he feels like Lou's just going to keep making fun of Hank as well.
Mm-hmm.
So he ends up going back to Hank's side and doesn't want to do any of it. And he regrets, I think he says it before Lou dies, I regret that we ever found this money.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing with Jacob, because one of the scene when they go to visit their parents' grave or their mother's grave, maybe it wasn't the father, maybe it was both. I don't know. But they go to visit the grave because he puts the flowers down,
mm-hmm.
and he's like, "Oh, somebody who's been here," and Jacob goes, "We don't, that's me.
We don't have to just come here once a year
to do this." So you get the idea that Jacob really misses his parents, values. But then immediately, Lou calls him and says, I'm drawing my name. He's peeing in the snow.
Hold on, let me whip my Johnson out.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I don't it doesn't, that's the thing. What happens? Jacob will have this moment of clarity or this moment where he's speaking,
from the heart.
Yeah, and then he'll have this completely dumb, all right, let's do that. And I'm just like, this doesn't match up to me.
Right, yeah.
And there's a couple times like that where it's just, I don't get it. I don't get why. I don't understand.
His moment of clarity when he talks about the father committing suicide is so thought out and wow, you really thought this through. That makes sense.
Yeah.
To how do you figure that out when you can't figure anything out?
Yeah. So maybe that's what they were going for. That his character is more complex but the transition didn't really tell me that. It didn't really tell me that he's somebody who has a lot of complexities to his emotional, background.
Right.
So I didn't get that. I just got somebody who was just going back and forth from being dumb, but not dumb, but dumb, but not dumb. And it was just like when he panics and kills him, hits him with the crowbar. I didn't get that. It was just kind of
no, that made no sense. Yeah.
So I didn't understand any of that. And obviously you find out later he didn't actually kill him because he was just knocked out. Hank finished the job. So yeah, that was a little I just didn't know. I didn't understand that. But I will say this in terms of the movie itself. I thought that the opening, when Hank gets picked up by Jacob to go, you're introduced to Hank and you get the voiceover, and I'll get to the voiceover later, but you get to the voiceover how he's, he gives us a little entryway into the movie. He's covering for somebody. I had to learn the line, stay out till they hung the last dog. I want to be like, what the hell is that? So when he says that, and I found out that that's actually a reference back to the 14th century, and a dog is a reference to an undesirable person. So when you would hang them because they were being hanged to death, you'd wait until they die, and then you're the last one, stay out. You know what I mean? So stay out until they hung the last dog.
I just figured it meant till, the bar's all closed.
No, I get that. But I was like, they're really hanging dogs? Yeah. But anyways, so you meet that, and then he gets in the car with Lou and Jacob. They go to visit the mother's grave, but then they're going to.
I think you're right the first time. I think it's both their graves because it just says Mitchell.
Yeah, but the whole thing is they're going to visit the grave, but Jacob's dropping Lou off at the house after. So he's just But you get there, with the conversation in the trunk and leading up to finding the money, the dialogue between the characters, you get the relationships. You understand Jacob and Hank's relationship in that dialogue. You understand Jacob and Lou's friendship and the tension between all three. You get all that. So it lays the groundwork for what's to come. It lays the groundwork for these are the characters. These are how they interact. Mm-hmm. You already know, when they find the money, you already know kind of how it's going to end because you just know that they're not going to get all on the same page here. So I thought that was a really good job in the opening about that. Sure. Just kind of introducing the characters and whatnot. So I thought the writing in that was really good in that moment. And I don't generally have an issue with any of the writing in the film. I understand what you're saying in terms of
Oh, I think the dialogue's good. I think the storyline is just kind of okay.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I do think some of the dialogue is really good, which helps the performance as well.
Do you think, I want to get into maybe the behind the scenes of this movie, because this movie was in developmental hell since 1993.
Yeah.
So I'm going to run through it real quick. Scott Smith is a screenwriter, and he initially was going to write this as a screenplay, decided not to, wrote it as a book. He wrote a story for the New Yorker that somebody saw it, liked it, said, hey, you working on anything else? And then this is what became of the book, was this movie. So Mike Nichols purchased the rights for this book for $250,000, and if his production company was going to get it going, which was Icarus Productions, he was going to another $750,000 off of that. The manuscript was optioned to Savoy Pictures, and then Nichols stepped away from the project because he was doing All the Pretty Horses, so he couldn't do it. So now Savoy Pictures has it.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Stiller came on and signed a 2-picture deal with Savoy, and he spent 9 months on the script with Smith. And I have a quote here from Smith about writing a screenplay. He said, Stiller, he's like, Ben really taught me how to write a script. I don't know that he ever explicitly said it, but by imagining the script as a verbal description of the movie that I wanted the book to be. It's very simple, but it really was the key to everything for me. Just imagining what was on the page. I was shortchanging the visual in my script, concentrating on dialogue, which I imagine is a very common first-time screenwriter's mistake, and to suddenly just do it visually opened up everything for me. So I guess Ben still had a big-time influence on the script with the screenwriter here. But then he had a falling out with Savoy, so over the budget, and Stiller left the project.
Right.
January 95, John Dahl is announced as director, and Nicolas Cage is playing Hank. Do you like Nicolas Cage's Hank?
No.
Really? I actually was like, I don't mind that.
I think it'd be interesting, but I don't know.
But you think it's going to be Trapped in Paradise?
I really like Bill Paxton.
I don't see the replacement of Bill Paxton.
This is very similar. Like if Cage was playing this role, yes, this is definitely a Nicolas Cage role. But I think that's why I would prefer Bill Paxton, because if Cage was in this role, I'd be like, yeah, no, he's Hank. That makes sense.
I
think he'd do a good job.
I thought it'd be, I'm not saying that he would have been better than Bill Paxton, but I thought he could have done the role.
Right.
All right. So November of 95, this is 11 months later. Savoy's like, listen, we're out of making films. We're done. They no longer want to make films anymore. They're acquired by Silver King Broadcasting, which is basically the home shopping network. And then they're put up for sale. And then that's when Dahl and Cage left the project. Paramount Pictures comes in and buys the project. Scott Rudin hires John Boorman to direct, and he cast Paxton and Thornton. And then John Boorman was going to begin filming in January 98. He did scouting. He did location scouting. He was ready to go, but budget again caused him just to leave the film. He's out. So then Paramount hired Sam Raimi.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not Sam Raimi. This is Sam Raimi in 1998. This is not Sam Raimi now, who can probably greenlight a picture by saying, I want to do it. And Sam Raimi is coming off of like The Evil Dead. He's coming off of those more visual. Well, so basically up to this time, he did Darkman, Evil Dead. He's been doing movies that are more visually, it's more about the visuals.
Right.
He wanted to do more character-driven stories, which is why he wanted to do it. But he couldn't scout locations. So he had to just simply go and shoot based upon
what someone else
Boorman's notes. And then obviously, they made the movie. So I thought do you think all of that, good or bad, affected this movie in terms of what you saw on screen? All the stuff that I just listed out?
It could have.
I mean, other movies, development hell happens, and other movies and some movies come out great for it.
Right. It certainly could have been something that has affected the film. I mean, obviously Ben Stiller on it kind of helped it.
Well, the original script was 256 pages.
That's way too long.
How do you write that thinking that's going to be, we're going to make this? How do you write that?
You write it and go, we'll cut it later. No, we'll cut it later. But just write what you want. It's like, I think when you write something that long, you're going to put important stuff in scenes that need to be cut.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to write with a maximum of like 160 in your head. You can't submit a film that's that long, because things are going to end up on the cutting room floor that's going to affect your story or your character development. What was it? We did an episode a few weeks ago or last season or so, and it was like 300-page script or something like that. It was a ridiculously long script, and there's no way that does not affect.
Was it The Founder?
Your film. It could have been.
It might have been The Founder.
Yeah. It's like that's going to affect your story in some way. Now, the Founder ended up great, but I think you lose stuff on the cutting room floor that if you really try to hone it in, you won't. But I do think, Sam Raimi coming off no film is For Love of the Game is what I was thinking of, and that came out after this.
Yeah.
So yeah, this probably does help Sam Raimi do something a little bit more down to earth.
Mm-hmm.
And normal. And I know he got the Coen brothers, or Joel Coen helped him out.
Well, he's
with learning to film in like the snow and
Raimi
stuff like
has
that.
worked on Coen Brothers films. He worked on like a second director,
Yeah,
assistant director.
so
So
he's
he
friends
learned
with
a
them,
lot of
yeah.
that stuff. Yeah, no, absolutely.
But I think some of the stuff helped.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff probably didn't.
So yeah, the film adaptation, I guess, is less violent than the book. So there's more violence in the book than it is in the movie. And I actually kind of was like, I don't want to see it on screen. I don't see why. Where are you hiding from?
What would be more violent?
Maybe I don't
Just
know.
more murders?
Maybe the murders are more bloody. Or
Okay, I
bloodier,
mean-
excuse me.
Lou just kind of gets a little hole in him, but like the blood is everywhere. It looks like his brains get blown
Well,
out.
that's
but
the
his
thing. You
wound's
don't
not
see
very
the
big.
you don't see the bullet hole. In
Yeah.
you just see his ear. I don't know if like what, he clip his ear?
That's what I thought. Like,
Yeah.
oh, so he's not dead, and then all that pool of blood comes out the back of his head.
And maybe they just weren't showing it as much.
Sarah definitely got shot.
Oh, she got blown away. That's classic Sam Raimi though. Like he couldn't
Falls
resist.
against
He
the
couldn't
wall.
resist. So he's like, the blowing shotgun took her off her feet. So I'm technically doing what
So she's gonna launch across the wall on a string.
he couldn't resist that. I get that. Cinematographer Cavillo was influenced by the 1967 movie In Cold Blood, the work of photographer Robert Frank, and photos that were taken during location scouting in Delano, Minnesota, or Delano, excuse me, for the look of this film. He didn't light exteriors, obviously, because it's just outdoor in the snow. You just kind of like went
Snow
as
lights
is.
itself, yeah.
What do you think of the look of the film?
I think
How about this? What do you think of the exteriors first? Because I'll get to the interiors.
the exteriors are really good. I like how realistic it looks. I like how snowy it looks. I like that.
it's
You know,
snowy,
it's just
dirty. It's not desaturated, but just kind of like gray.
It's very Fargo.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
it's-
totally.
Yeah,
It's Fargo because of the snow, and that's what
you can't help but compare it to that.
Yeah.
I think that's just going to be in your brain the whole time. I'm thinking I watched this before I even read the note about Sam Raimi being influenced by the Coens to shoot in snow.
Mhm.
I'm going, this is a Coen Brothers movie.
Yeah. Well, they had to move production to Wisconsin because there was no snow in Minnesota because of El Nino. So to find more snow, but then when they went back to Minnesota, they had to use fake snow. They had to use fake synthetic snow,
Mm.
shaved ice, and then to kind of like make the snow wherever the scenes
Back,
were.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it looks, because it does look, it's gray, it's foreboding.
Mm-hmm.
It's like two colors, almost black and white, and it's very desaturated.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think about the interior lighting? How about this? Their house.
Lou's
Hank's,
house.
not Lou's house.
Because Lou's house doesn't look real.
Well, Lou's house is real. Lou's house was actually, because the note here was an abandoned house, but it had low ceilings and had no heat, so it was really tough to shoot for them there. But it's a real house; it's just abandoned.
It looks like. Yeah.
But Hank and Sarah's house, the one thing with that house that I kept thinking of was when we talked about Red Rock West and the 90s style of lighting.
Mhm.
I know in Lou's house they used a China ball. They just had a China ball light up, and they just, especially in the kitchen scene, because that's why there's a lot of pockets of shadow.
Right.
But in Hank's and Sarah's house, it felt like they just threw on a 5K and blasted it through the windows.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
And so,
Which I didn't mind. I mean,
no, but
it's just movie
we
lighting
talk
back
about
then.
that. In
But
that,
yeah, it's definitely
yeah.
90s movie lighting.
yeah.
But Lou's house, because I think maybe it's abandoned, because they use set lights everywhere,
Mhm.
it looks filmy. It looks
Like a set.
like a set. It looks like a horror movie. Like all of a sudden, it's less desaturated. I think.
Well,
it just looks like
It's probably nice that because it's
Different.
abandoned, you can destroy things in there. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Because when Hank at the end, after everything's happened, he just starts blowing things away with the shotgun. I'm like, they probably were really doing that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Not with the gun, with the bullet, with squibs and
With
stuff.
squibs,
but
yeah.
yeah.
blowing the chandelier and the
Yeah.
holes in the wall.
The bar that they have the fight in.
Mm-hmm.
Did you read about that?
Yeah, it's a converted like residence.
So it was a bar.
It was a bar that got turned into
Somebody
a
bought
residence.
it, right? And it was a privatized bar. It was a private bar. He made it still at his own, but he lives above in the apartments,
Right.
And they had to go in there and kind of set it up to look like what a
dive bar
would
kind
look
of a
like.
thing,
But it
yeah.
worked. I thought it worked.
Because I guess the actual bar in Delano was too nice.
Yeah, but here's the other thing. That bar is that guy's bar. That's nice.
That is cool. Yeah.
Could you imagine having that in your home? You're at a downstairs bar like
That'd
that,
be
like it seats
awesome.
like 10
Yeah.
people.
I'll be like, all right, let's come on down, guys. Come on down.
Absolutely. No, I thought that was interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I just like that.
What did you think of the cop? What did you think of what's his name?
Oh, the sheriff,
Was it Carl? Yeah.
Carl. What I like in terms of like what?
The way they play him, it's almost like he's onto them, but he's not onto them.
I think he's smart. I think he's he's not an idiot. He knows when he's being shined on.
Right.
And I don't think he ever suspects anything from them, in terms of like, I don't think he ever suspects them of doing anything wrong. I I just think he takes Gary when Gary Cole Baxter show up, who says he's the FBI agent, but he's not. He's one of the.
Well, he definitely takes him for his word. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Did you see his badge?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So maybe he's too trusting.
Maybe.
But then like there was a moment when like he comes into the barber shop and he tells Hank, hey, you and your brother come down and FBI said one time.
He's looking at him. Yeah.
He remembered the conversation about the plane. So he's like, hey, come down. But then he's like, hey, you're getting a little thin up top. And I'm thinking to myself, why is he saying that? Is he saying that because that's the relationship, or he's just like a dick? Like I thought that was interesting.
Exactly. It almost seems like, hey, you're really nervous about something. I can tell you're hiding something from me. And it looks like that in the interrogation room as well. It seems like he realizes that Hank's story is got some holes. There's something about Lou's murder or the murder-suicide. It doesn't quite add up. And it's just like, but you never get that.
Well, when Jacob comes, when they first we're talking about dumb moves now. So they find the money and they're like, they come up with the plan and they're like, we got to count it. Why are you counting it on the side of the road?
In the middle of the cold.
Yeah. Which made no sense.
Get out of there.
So obviously I'm assuming he's the sheriff. So he comes up.
Right.
And then Jacob comes out of the car and just says like, hey, did you hear that plane? Like just says something out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I would think that they were screwed at that point. Like they were screwed at the point of counting the money on the side of the road, but they were screwed when Jacob comes out and says that. So it obviously stuck with Carl, but it didn't stick with Carl in the way of like, I don't think in the way of what's going on. These guys are up to no good. It just stuck with him that like, oh, these guys heard something. Maybe they can help him out. Like, I don't think he ever thought that they were involved in anything like that.
Oh, and at that point, no.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a bunch of idiots. And obviously the story about the dog jumping out, chasing the fox, A, was real, and B, believable with these guys.
Right.
But yeah, the plane comment kind of tips him off. But as soon as the plane comment and the FBI guy kind of come together, it's kind of like, because you have to imagine this takes place over the course of what, maybe a month total?
It's the winter. So yeah, over a month. Let's say a month, a couple weeks. Yeah, totally.
So you would think that at that point with the plane thing, he'd be like, oh, okay. And Lou died, and
when the bodies start adding up, they get like, this is a small town that a lot of people die like often, like in terms of like not that natural, but like suspicious circumstances,
right? Yeah,
and you've got two people that are involved in it. It's like something's up. Maybe there should have been, maybe there was more in the book given to Carl in terms of like he's figuring it all out,
right?
But in the movie, he's definitely somebody who was just kind of like. Not aw shucks, not stupid, just hadn't really figured it out yet.
Right. But like he was getting there, maybe. I would have just liked a little bit more where it just kind of, there were more choices made or less choices made as to him seeming like he was figuring out some holes in stories.
Well, he also talks about how like Jacob clearly is always in trouble with the law. Like he's drunken a lot.
He's like almost the town. Like Lou's obviously got the title town drunk apparently. But Jacob's like right next to him.
Jacob is not somebody who is somebody who knows Carl way too much and shouldn't. Kind of thing. But he doesn't ever like, even when the stuff starts in the beginning, he doesn't ever really kind of put that together. Like, okay, there's stuff going on and Jacob's a part of it.
Right.
So yes. So I didn't. Yeah. Like even when like Hank's trying to tell him when they're doing the interrogation, he's like, no, Jacob said that you went out to the car. Oh yeah. I guess you can see.
Yeah. I could see why.
Even there though, you would think that, okay, what's going on?
Well, that's why Carl's looking at him like, looks at him like, oh man, Hank, why are you in like, it seems to me, and maybe it's just the actor choices or maybe he was told to play it that way. It really seems like he's seeing something wrong with this story.
Right.
But you never get anything more with that. And it's unfortunate, I think, that Carl dies because I think it would be more interesting if he kind of at least had another couple moments where he was alive or just something more than just his instant death.
Because then you end up having the ending the way it is. And I want to get to the voiceover. I don't think the movie could have ended with the money burning.
I thought it was. I thought the fade out, fade to black credits.
Right. The stuff with the voiceover with Hank talking about how whatever, life blows and my wife doesn't love me anymore. Like that's basically what you're saying. Look, well, like we don't need that. I know that's going to happen by you burning the money and shoving her aside.
Yeah, it was clear when she gets shoved to the end of the table.
Yeah. I already know that you guys were not going to last. I just didn't need the voice or him going back to the farm and like, I don't need that. I don't need it. And I thought that it didn't make sense. I didn't like that. The other thing, you didn't like it either?
I didn't like the voiceovers. I didn't think it was necessary.
The other thing I thought was really on the nose but didn't really make much sense unless you're saying what I'm about to say is the fox in the hen house. That are you trying to tell me that the fox is the money and the guys are the hens? It's like, okay, fine. But that's so on the nose.
That's my first note is there's a fox in the hen house.
I was just like, like as soon as I saw a fox, I go, Jesus, lay it on thick.
I was waiting for that. And then I was waiting for, because they show the raven sitting above the plane. I was like, give me 3 ravens and then go back and there'd be 2 ravens on the tree and 1 raven on the tree.
Or the whole
or the ravens, there are more and more.
They're waiting for something to die.
It's
like, okay.
I was like,
It was a little much. It was a little just like, I get it.
Don't explain your symbolism.
I could just imagine they're writing like, oh man, right? And like this fox, you open up with the fox walking around across the field. And where is he going? The hen house. All right, follow me here. Follow me. I'm like, all right, enough. That was in the pitch. And like, you going to put the fox in the movie? Yeah, I was just, And then obviously they used that to explain how Stevenson, if that was his name, I can't remember, comes over with the, fox stole my chickens. And he comes over. I'm like, all right, I really still didn't need that. You could have just had him coming over saying the fox stole his chicken. You could have had the fox darting across with the chicken without anything in the opening.
Right.
And you would have been fine with that.
Yep.
So that was a little too much, I thought. Such as the voiceover. But I do like, before I do that, let me go to the one other thing I don't like. But then it turns into something I do like. A lot of this movie is stuff happens, and then some character goes, okay, how do we explain this? Like that's like violence. Oh, we got to get our story straight. Like a lot of, there was like 3 or 4 times where that happens. It was just kind of like,
all right. So there's a debate. All right. So I'm here. You're here.
Yeah. And I'm like, this isn't interesting anymore. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care about what you're going to do, what lie you're going to say, because it's just like, it's enough already. Like, I like it when it's the one big lie and then it kind of everything spirals out of that. But like constantly going like, how are we going to explain all this? But I do like the line when Baxter is Gary Cole's character is like, what are you going to do?
Oh, I love that.
How are you going to explain it to everyone? You're going to have to.
We're both going to have a lot of explaining to do.
And he's like, just me. And he shoots him right in the head, which is great.
I love the line right before that where he says something akin to like, you don't have it. You're not cold-blooded killer. And I'm just thinking, oh shit, you don't know Hank very well. I'm just like, you're dead, dude.
And that's also, I wonder if this would have been a little bit better if the introduction of Baxter is earlier in the movie. You know what I mean?
I would think so, yeah.
So it's more like the ticking clock. He shows up immediately. You know what I mean?
Then
like,
it absolutely would have been a Coen Brothers movie, though.
But it would have been more. It would have been more interesting.
It would have been a little more tense. Yeah, I agree.
And so you would have had more. It would just instead of. It was almost like 2 different stories. It's almost like he's the evil MacGuffin coming in at the end, where he's just like, "I'm the guy." We
gotta wrap this up.
Yeah, but because it would have been better if that would never happen. It was just 3 guys going at it. Money's never explained. It never it's just 3 guys going at it, everything. The whole town's riled up into it. Rather than have this exterior guy come in here who's from it's my money. And then it's a shootout, and so it almost feels like there's two different things going on here, 2 different movies, 2 subplots when one could have been the main plot. That being said, I still like the film, but I understand what you're talking about in terms of the problems that we're talking about. Yeah.
Like the thing I hate the most, more than just the dumb stories, my least favorite part of the film is when Hank goes back into Carl's office with the blinds open, closes his office door, unlocks the gun cabinet in plain sight of probably 30 people in the next room, gets the gun, sits down at the desk, opens all the drawers looking for ammunition.
Yeah.
It's just like, come on.
It would have been, it was too much. It would have been much better if he puts the service revolver or something in his drawer.
Yeah.
And Hank opens it up, grabs the gun, and just sees all these bullets and grabs them and goes. It's like a much shorter scene because I like the stuff where he's trying to get the right bullet.
Oh, I do
in the
too,
gun.
because it's no one else ever talks about that.
Right.
Bullets always fit every gun in movies.
The whole thing where he's like looking, unlocking it, like I'm sorry, but like you would have gotten caught.
It's 5 minutes. It's like, and he's not even hiding the gun.
Oh, I forgot my hat. Let me go grab it. Shuts the door. Oh, why didn't you shut the door to get the hat, man?
And then he's facing outward toward the window with the gun at his stomach.
Yeah. And
not even hiding the gun.
And then he honks the horn like he's really going to honk the horn waiting for him to come. It's agreed. That was way too much. I don't know why they had it. It was like I don't know why it was drawn out like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And then you're looking and now you're searching more.
Yeah. Just shorten that up. Open the drawer, grab the gun. Oh, shoot all these bullets. Let's go. I got to go. Yeah. No, that would have been much better.
My least favorite scene in the whole movie.
No, I agree. I do think though that this is the perfect winter film. This is definitely a film to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. If we're getting into why it's forgotten,
go ahead.
The release date is definitely not a reason. I think absolutely the perfect release date for the film.
Well,
both the limited and the actual.
Well, now we're talking about how we don't. Well, here's the thing: we've just sat here talking about how we didn't like some of the stuff in the movie, but it was nominated for best writing. So I mean, who are we to say?
Well, like we said, the dialogue and the acting and stuff is top notch.
Yeah,
it's just some story choices are not.
Yeah,
but like I also say, the ending, narration aside, I think elevates this film a lot. Because while I'm watching it, the ending, I'm like, oof. That's a good ending. That's a powerful ending. I like that. I like that Jacob is killing himself and gives up. I like that. And I think that makes the story worthwhile.
Right.
Because I was just, if you you didn't really start with asking me, you did ask me what I thought about the movie. And I had more of an explanation than good, bad. But I think that's
different.
I think that's why I had that explanation that I did. Because I think if you had asked me without that ending, if it was more of a rote ending, I would have been like, it was all right.
Yeah.
But I like that ending to the point where I was like, this is an okay movie with a fantastic cast and an amazing ending.
And so I cut you off, but why do you think it was forgotten?
Because the rest of the movie's rather...
Like, why do you think this? Because this movie's Oscar darling.
I think that's also why it might be forgotten.
You think that it just kind of like slipped?
It's not fun. It's kind of
It's dreary. Yeah,
It's not a romance. It's not an action movie.
It's not the first Bill Paxton movie you're going to put in.
Yeah, it's not a heist movie.
You're honestly, you're going to probably put in Frailty more because Frailty's a better film.
I love Frailty.
But you're going to put that in. It's not a movie that Billy Bob Thornton's known for. He's known for Sling Blade.
Although he does a great job as Jacob. Although some of his choices, but that's more the writing than.
Yeah, no.
But no, yeah. This is right after Sling Blade too. This is like a year or two.
Yeah, this is he basically he was. For those who don't follow Billy Bob Thornton's career, he was struggling to latch on, and he's a good actor,
right?
And he just basically said, "You know what, screw it, I'm going to do my own thing." And he did Sling Blade. He wrote it. He put all his buddies in it. You know, John Ritter, Briscoe here, who's in this one. He put all his Dwight Yoakam. He put all his guys in it. It's a fantastic film. It's a great film. It deserved the award, and that catapulted him. Then he's in Armageddon. And he's in which I love. I love Armageddon because he has the ketchup scene.
I love what his agent told him why he took the Armageddon job. Everyone should have their face every actor should have his face on a bus poster or bus shelter poster at least once.
Yeah, no, he's. I watch him he's got a show on Amazon that's I think wrapped up called Goliath, where he's a
lawyer.
He's a lawyer, but he's really good in it. He's really good. He does, so
right.
No, he deserved that nomination. He's awesome in the first season of Fargo. I love the TV show, not the movie, obviously.
Right.
The TV show. He's fantastic in that. But anyway, I'll get off that train. But
I think it's just hard to sell this movie. It's like, would I recommend this to somebody? I don't know who I would recommend this to.
No, I would recommend it.
Only like big time.
I recommend to people I recommend that people like mysteries or film noirs because this is listed as a neo noir, which I always equate neo noir with Future. I don't know why. I don't know why. But no, I think I would recommend this movie to people that like these type of like noir films because it is a classic film noir.
I think it's a harder watch than something like Red Rock West, though.
I think this has a lot more production in it than Red Rock West does.
So do I. But I think there's not a lot of fun or intrigue it's a very dour movie.
Okay,
and I think that's just, and again, I watched it, you watched it. I think a lot of people who really like cinema will watch it, but I think it's hard sell for the masses, and not in a way that I usually say where it's like the masses are dumb. It's just it's tough to want to watch this movie.
Well, let's be honest. It's not like it's out everywhere.
The fact that you can't get it on Blu-ray.
There's no Blu-ray for it. No, I take it back. You can get a Blu-ray. It's a German Blu-ray. So Germany made a Blu-ray for it.
I am surprised. Billy Bob Thornton and Bill Paxton, like even if it's a lesser known movie, you'd think there would be no special features.
It might be tied up in who owns it because I gave you 4 distributors and 8 production companies. So it might be somewhere like who the hell owns this thing. But like, yeah, if you want the Blu-ray, get a region free player and then go get it from Germany.
And here's what pisses me off.
Okay.
It's a Paramount movie, right?
Yes.
Kind of,
sort of.
Mostly.
Here we go. Yep.
It's not on Paramount Plus.
So here's the thing. So I'm on the Roku, and for those people who have Roku out there, you click that button for the microphone and you say a simple plan, and then it pops up where you can get it, and it says streaming on Paramount Plus with subscription, and then I click on it, and it sends me to the Paramount Plus main page, and I'm like, it's not on Paramount Plus. I go, why are you saying it's on there? So yeah, that I don't know if, and it was the middle of the month. So it's not like it like changed
over.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't get that.
And it's not streaming anywhere. I had to pay for it.
Honestly.
Unbelievable.
So here's the thing. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff in this film. And there's a lot of stuff to, like, just kind of the movie itself.
Right.
I can make an argument that this should be released on Blu-ray and this should have like a supplemental edition. Like this should have a Blu-ray release. It's the fact that it's from 98 and it's just a DVD. That's a little unfair. I think this movie it's got nominated for 2 Academy Awards.
Yeah.
I don't see why it can't get a Blu-ray.
And it's Sam Raimi.
Yeah, no, so that's a little bit like, come on, Paramount, put it out. Let's go. I don't want to get a region free player, but let's go here. All right, so you might not recommend it to a lot of people, like in terms of like you recommend it to film goers and film aficionados.
Yeah, it's a tough sell, I think.
I would recommend it. My circle would be bigger. I would recommend it to people that, hey, I'm looking for a movie. And if it, like, let's say come February, which it is now, obviously, when everyone's listening to this, and it's snowing out and someone's like, oh, what should I watch? I'll be like, oh, you should watch A Simple Plan. I like that film. It's it's like a thriller, noir. I think you would like it. I know it's dour, but I think there's enough stuff happening into it where it's not a dour, like Revolutionary Road, where you're just like, I don't want to see this movie anymore.
Right.
So I don't like that kind of thing. So in that regard, I think that I would definitely recommend this to more people, but that's okay. You don't have to recommend. We don't have to agree. That's fine. But you can agree on where can they find us.
You can find us at ForgottenCinemaPodcast.com or ForgottenEntertainment.com, as we are part of the Forgotten Entertainment family. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Subscribe, rate, review, comment, all that good stuff, and then talk to us about A Simple Plan in the lobby. If you're on the lobby on Facebook, that's our group where we talk about films and post about films. So let us know if you've seen Simple Plan, if you like Simple Plan, if you prefer other movies of this genre. And let us know how close A Simple Plan is to the new Simpsons episode that came out, produced by Joe Cohen a couple weeks ago.
Oh, which one was that?
Simple Flanders or something like that.
I didn't see that yet. We watched it on Hulu.
It's this movie.
All right, that's fine. That works.
It's sure. Like this and Fargo mixed together.
I will say that this new season of Simpsons has been tough. The first few episodes I've not liked.
They were all right.
Yeah.
The Flanders one is pretty good.
There was one where I was like, I look at my wife, I'm like, why am I not laughing? Nothing's funny here. But anyways, I digress. Next week, we're going back to 1989 to watch a movie that I absolutely love. So there's going to be no shock when you hear me talking about it next week. It's called Glory with Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman. I think Matthew Broderick's in that. Is Carrie Elway's in that? Is he one of the other guys? I think he's one of the. He's like one of the lower regiments. It's about the Civil War. It's about the first black regiment in the Civil War. 55. It is the 55th.
It's going to be a love fest. This whole episode's going to be a love fest.
This movie's awesome. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to be doing lines. I'm doing quotes. I think we've already talked about how much we love Denzel Washington on this show. But like, it's such a good film. And the score is amazing. The score at the end when they attack the fort is awesome.
Enough.
I can't get enough of this film.
Is going to be the next
I don't know why we're doing this film because it should not be forgotten.
It is forgotten.
Yeah, it is. It's such a good movie. Okay, so that's next week, Glory. I don't even know where it is. I don't know where you can find it. I'm sure we have to borrow it, rent or steal it somewhere.
I'm so pissed if it's hard to find. It's Denzel Washington.
It's probably hard to find.
Damn it.
I know. Well, as soon as we're done recording, I'm going to look. All right. So that's it. I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And this has been Forgotten Cinema.